I feel like for me it is a different path because I started later in amateurs. I started when I was 19 or 20. So I knew I had to try to get as many fights as I could. But I feel like there was a lot of mishaps and a lot of things that were like stopping me from getting so many fights.
What's up? This is Gardy with Clear Life Media, Clear Life Combat. I'm here at the Clear Life HQ in League City, Texas. I have a guest in studio. I'm going to let him introduce himself. We're going to find out everything he has going on, including an event that's taking place this weekend. Hey, how's it going?
What's going on? Nice to meet you, bro.
Yeah, if someone hasn't met you, what's your name and then what do you do?
Manny Deanda. I'm actually a professional boxer. I make my pro debut March 8th at the Red Owl Arena.
Red Owl, that's in Houston. Have you been out there before for any other events or have you
I
fought there?
actually went to go see one of the fighters. His name is Giovanni Marquez. I went to go watch him one time, and there's another one. I forgot his name, but it was a big fighter. But yeah, I went. It was an amazing time. I met so many like professional boxers. I met Sugar Shane Mosley. I met Shakur Stevenson. It was a good time.
Yeah. It's cool that Houston has a venue that's a fight venue.
Yeah,
It's a boxing venue.
yeah.
It was designed for that, and then that's what they do.
Yeah, and that was something me and my brother were always talking about. We're like, man, this place is so cool. We've always
Mhm.
talked about having like a place like this where we just have boxing shows, and it's cool that they have one, and like it's so big now. Like a lot of people know about that place, and I didn't even think I was gonna run into those guys there.
Right.
So it was crazy.
I saw Giovanni fight for El Tigre,
Yeah,
some
yeah,
years ago,
yeah,
and now he's doing some really cool things, and
yeah,
with overtime, and
yeah. OTX,
yeah,
yeah. And I've seen a lot of fighters are signing with OTX. It's a big thing now. So
yeah. I guess, and we'll talk about this more, but I mean, there's the path that you can take. You
yeah,
had some Emmy fights and stuff like that,
yeah.
but I mean, really quick, where do you see this going for you? Is that something you could maybe mirror what Giovanni's done or anybody else?
Yeah, so I see these guys coming up, and it's I feel like for me it is a different path because I started later in amateurs. I started when I was 19 or 20, so I knew I had to try to get as many fights as I could. But I feel like there's a lot of mishaps and a lot of things that were like stopping me from getting so many fights. So I only got 13, but I went undefeated in my first 10 fights, and I got a couple stoppages. So and then I lost one, and then I took it on short notice. I took it on short notice, and I was like, man, let's run it back in Houston, and I got that win back. So I don't know. I really didn't count it, but but yeah. But after that, I was like, man, my dad had passed away recently, and he was always telling me like, he was like, you ain't making no money in these fights, and I was always telling him like, no. And before he passed, he's actually telling me, he was like, you need to stop messing around and go pro already. He was like, you know what level you're on, you know you can make money. And I was like, man, you're right. And before he passed, I think 2 months later, I called her up, and I was like, let's do it. I want to do it. And
Yeah.
I actually had a sparring that week, and they lined up like 4 or 5 guys that are already going pro. They have like 40, 50 amateur fights, and I sparred with them, and I did good against all of them. And that's off of being off for 2 weeks because of my dad's passing. And that's why I was like, yeah, this is something I need to do. I was like, this is something that needs to be done.
Yeah. And as an amateur, there's a lot that obviously the training, the nutrition, staying ready like you're a pro, but then also like even travel. So it's like you're not
Yeah.
getting paid, but you're also
Pain
paying a
too.
lot,
Yeah.
right?
So
Tell me about that.
yeah. So right, like I was in a good position to a point where my family was willing to do whatever it takes for me to get to that next level. And I started my own gym, my own boxing gym when I was 17, and I kind of grew it to a point where it kind of sustained itself, and it paid
Mm.
it, like all the investing that I did into it like kind of paid off. So right now it's taking care of itself, and it's taking care of the people working for it. So right now is like it was perfect timing for me to be like, you know what, let me focus on boxing, like strictly boxing, and not just about the business, but actually step in and go professional.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, business is a whole different animal. I'll see people that own like fitness gyms, and they're
Yeah.
like, I don't have time to work out. I'm like,
Yeah.
how does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's here, but it's like I understand it now,
Yeah.
in business where it's like I don't have time to make videos for myself. I wish I did, but we're always
Yeah.
doing some other things. So
and
I get
and
it.
and that's that was another thing with with the business, it's like I wasn't able to like I can't say that I need to train. I like no, I have to work. Like, it's like
Yeah.
a regular job. Like I have to do it. And that's what I was talking to my cousin and them about. They're like, no matter what, like we understand that you're a professional now and you need to take this seriously, but you also need to work. They're like, you need to train and work. You got to manage your time. So right now, what I'm still been like, even though like I'm what a couple days out from the fight, I'm still working. Like I got a like personal training sessions lined up for this next couple of days, even though I have a fight coming up. So I treat it like a regular job. So
Yeah. How are you feeling right now? Is everything
I feel
everything healthy
good.
and good?
I feel good. I've been preparing for about 5 weeks, 6 weeks already.
Mm-hmm.
So these past 6 weeks have been like strict diet, eating right, training people, and just staying ready.
If someone hasn't seen you fight before, how would you describe your fighting style?
My fighting style is I'm more of a boxer. I'm more of somebody that likes to box. But sometimes I like to switch it up. So it depends. Like it depends. Styles make fights. So sometimes depending how somebody fights, then I might switch it up on them.
Yeah,
First round I might fight one way, and then I might fight the other way next round. I don't want to give away too much. So
sure. Do you know anything about your opponent or his style?
actually I don't. I don't know anything about him, but I know that I'm ready for whoever.
Yeah,
I've been training real hard for this. So
yeah. You know, you've have you been to some of the El Tigre events before, and what do you think about the promotion in general?
actually, have I been to one of them? I've been to one of them. Yeah, I've been to one of them. I like them. Like, I talked to Alfonso before when I was an amateur. I think I had like 7 fights in, and my uncle actually had a conversation with him. He was like, "Man, you need to work with him
Mm-hmm.
because he's a good kid." Like, everybody, I'm known as like in my family, I'm known as the golden child because I never drank, I've never smoked, I've always stayed consistent or whatever anything I do. So everybody's like, oh, he's the golden child. I don't cuss, I don't say anything, I always stay on top of my stuff. So my family kind of considers me like the golden child, like, oh, he's the one that's gonna make it. So
Yeah,
I just try to stay disciplined and just stay on it and keep training and do what I gotta do.
that's cool. Was that just something? I mean, were you? Because I know I have kids, and like I'll see like this one's personality is different from this one.
Yeah.
Was that just like your personality, or did you have to work at it? And that was that like a goal, like self discipline, or what?
Yeah, well, I'm the baby in the family. So
Okay.
I got a bunch of older brothers. So I was always getting picked on, pushed around by my older brothers. And that's actually how we got started. We started watching UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite fighter was Nate Diaz. Even though like I don't have that personality, I'm not somebody that flicks out the camera or nothing. But I was like, man, those are my favorite fighters. Like them dudes are dogs, and that's the way I want to be. I want to be like that, like a dog, go in there in the ring and fight. But I want to be like humble and respectful towards anybody. But it's sometimes you got to put on the show for people. So
Yeah.
it depends. It
You
might
know,
bring it out of me one day.
anybody else in your family? Do they box or fight or anything?
My brother actually does, and I'm trying to. Man, my brother Max, he's a beast. He only has what 3 amateur fights, and I think his last 2 fights and came in the first round knockout, knocked the dudes out nasty, and I was like, man, I was like, you need to go pro, bro. And we're actually thinking about taking. He's thinking about taking the fight in Galveston with El Tigre. Yeah, so we're talking about that, and I'm trying to get him on the card with me because I would be major. The Deanda brothers fighting on the same
Yeah.
card, so
It's kind of like the Diaz brothers, huh?
yeah, that's what I was telling them. And do you text Marty? Marty keeps on. Yeah, I told him I was like, man, let's do it. Like, it would be cool,
Yeah.
especially for the promotion and for El Tigre and everything. I told him it would be crazy. Like we could do some good numbers too. So
I guess even before deciding it was boxing, but becoming a fan of fighting because of UFC and the Diaz brothers,
yeah.
was there ever a thought of MMA at all?
I've done jiu-jitsu actually. I've
Okay.
done jiu-jitsu. I've competed in jiu-jitsu about 6 tournaments, and I've always like that was my main one. I was like, I want
Did
to
you
do
start with jiu-jitsu before boxing or no?
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
I started jiu-jitsu first, and then I got into boxing little by little, and then I slowly started to get better at boxing more than I was jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
So I've thought about it, and I did a couple kickboxing class, and I got kicked in my leg, and I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't want to do that. I got elbowed, and I was like, yeah, this ain't for me.
Yeah.
I just stick to the punches.
But did you enjoy jiu-jitsu?
Oh yeah, I loved it, loved it. And I'm always open to going back to it, and like competing in jiu-jitsu too, because that's something that I don't know. I guess kind of started me into being like my competitive mindset.
Yeah.
Cause I went undefeated in jiu-jitsu. I won 6 tournaments back to back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because we worked with a lot of different promoters and promotions and stuff, but sometimes like the boxing guys, they like think of jiu-jitsu. Like I've worn like a jiu-jitsu hoodie or something from another promotion, and they're like,
Yeah.
not
Like,
anyone specific I'm calling, but they're just like, oh, what's that? Because I train jiu-jitsu,
yeah.
and they're like, oh, you train jiu-jitsu, like you're trying to like. I guess
Yeah.
somebody's like, I just have it's fun.
Yeah, and that's another thing with boxing. Like I think it's a different. I don't know. I feel like when I go into the jiu-jitsu gym, any jiu-jitsu gym, everybody's so nice and respectful and welcoming. When you go into a boxing gym, it's not like that.
Yeah,
Like you go in there and like everybody is like, you get kind of intimidated. So, um, I was like, man, I don't want my gym to be like that.
right.
I wanted my boxing gym to be like
On
open arms.
purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we're here to have fun and box and get better together. So that's the way I kind of started the gym, and I feel like everybody that comes in there is like real welcoming and like
That's awesome.
they treat each other like family. So
Yeah, but that is funny you say that because then like if you drop in a gym out of town, like anywhere, hey, can I drop in? Is there a fee? Like, oh yeah, there is, but don't even worry about it. And
yeah,
then like everybody comes up and shakes your hand, like and stuff like this. But it's always weird in a new spot at first, but you're like, oh no, this feels
yeah,
good. But that is a
yeah,
a, a jujitsu thing.
yeah, and a lot of kids they like now we'll get kids that don't say anything, like they won't say a word. They come in
Hmm.
there and they're straight dogs in the ring, and then they're like, all right, now their confidence like goes through the roof, and they start shaking everybody's hand, start talking to everybody. I was like, man, you
Yeah,
weren't saying anything like a couple of days ago. You didn't say
yeah.
a word to me.
For
But
for your gym, is it more like fitness, or is there people that coming up want to be a fighters as well,
it's
or
a little bit of everything. Right now, we have a fighter program, and we have people that want to do personal training, and we have a fitness class in the morning. So we kind of like range it to like be like an actual gym,
yeah.
for everybody. Because sometimes boxing could be used just to get in shape. So
Right. No, it's a hard workout.
yeah, it
I
is.
had a friend years ago. I was in high school, and he was like, "I'm gonna start boxing," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And he's like, "They told me that I'm not boxing for like how long? I'm just running on the dike in Texas City. Like that's what they're just gonna make him do before he could even put a pair of gloves on. I think just to see,
Yeah,
hey, do you really want to do this or
yeah,
whatever?" And so he didn't stick with it.
yeah. Nah, I was like, man, boxing is something I kind of fell in love with after a while. It's like the one thing is because I've done a lot of other sports. I've done football, basketball, track, tennis, soccer, and I was like, man, I got good at it, but I wasn't good to a point where I was like, yeah, this is gonna make it for me.
Yeah.
Boxing is like something I fell in love with after a while once I got back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I started in Mexico when I was about 6 years old, and then I carried on for about I think till like I was 9 or 10, and then I came back to Houston and I was staying here, and I just stopped training. I literally got up to like 230 pounds. I think when I was like before my freshman year or my junior year in college. I'm in high school, and once I was there, and I was like, man, I need to get back to training. And my brother, he was like, come on, man, I'll train you. Like, I'll get you in shape. So we started training again, and I started getting good. Like they'll bring kids from the hood, they'll come over there, and they're like, "Come on, let's spar." And I was like, "All right, let's spar." And then I was just kept on beating everybody. And then I went to actual gym, and I went to go spar one of their guys. Guys that actually have fights, and I got beat up like bad. And I was like, you know what? I was like, give me 2 weeks, and I'll come back, and I want to spar again. I was like, I want to get better. So I came back, and I actually did good. And I was like, man, I was like, you know what? I feel like if I really put my mind to it and actually like try and like stay consistent with it, I think I can make something out of it.
Mm.
So that's where I kind of like started competing in amateurs after that, and I kind of just like, you know what, I need to go pro.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, ideal situation scenario for Saturday in Houston. How does it play out for you?
I feel like first round I have to fill them out, and then slowly break them down little by little and try to finish them.
Awesome. What would you say your long term, like when it's all said and done, or what would you consider to be a success for you in this?
My long term goal, like like I know it sounds ironic. Everybody says it now, but I do want to be a world champion one day, and that's something I've like. Yeah, I like the money's cool and all. Like I want to make money, but at the end of the day, it's like, what did I do with it? You know. And I feel like if I really take it seriously, I can be a world champion. And I don't have no like specific names. I don't call nobody out, but like I want to go up there and just fight the best, you know. But I want to get to that level first by go making a name for myself, you know, find building my record, and then once I get to a certain point where people are like, you know what, this kid's talented, you know, like he deserves a shot.
Yeah.
So
Well, I will say El Tigre throws, amazing shows. You walk in there, it's an event. It's like a party.
yeah,
It's just a good time. Yeah, whenever you're on the card, you may not even see all that stuff, but it's like literal, with the music and the
yeah,
lights and everything else. So that's gonna be at Red Owl Boxing, which is a beautiful venue, Houston, Texas. You can watch. Usually there's like eight to 10 fights on the card, and they're all bangers.
yeah. I know. There's I seen a couple. There's one that went viral on y'all's page.
Yeah, it's the most views we've ever gotten on any video.
Yeah, them girls are talking crazy to
It
each
was
other.
amazing. But
Yeah,
with it going viral like that, people are like, "When's the rematch?
yeah.
When's the
When's the
re?"
rematch?
And so yeah, we've been telling people this is a rematch. Like, you
I'm
know,
even looking forward to that fight. Like I didn't even know they were fighting on it until they said that they were doing a rematch, and I looked at y'all's page and I was like, oh, they are doing a
yeah, I
rematch.
don't think they were gonna do a rematch. And then we were telling El Tigre and talking to both fighters because I was like, why aren't we doing the rematch? Like, what's going on here? Because there's like, I don't know, we do the rematch or whatever. I'm like, bro, this is the most views. It got like over 11 million on our Facebook and over 3.5 million on Instagram. I posted on my personal TikTok and it was like, oh, 2 million. And
Yeah,
then like we just redid different things and it was just like really cool. But probably the coolest part about that is shine light on the entire event, the promotion, the fighters, and it's shining light on this event too, is that people came and watched that show because they saw it.
yeah. They
People were
saw
like,
them.
I'm in Houston. I mean,
Yeah,
when is this? I was like, it's happening right now.
yeah,
I'm on my way. And they were sending pictures and posting the thing. I was like, that's amazing. And people don't, the other thing, because we're around fights,
yeah,
all the time, we know these things happen. There's so many people out there in the world that don't realize in their community, maybe they're not in Houston, that there's opportunities for them to go support
yeah. Go
local
walk.
promotions and watch what, the quality that they would see on a pay-per-view here in town and go get a ticket and watch the future.
Yeah, and that's like I didn't even know that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I went to Submission Hunter Pro. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there once to go see one of my friends. His name's Lester. He trains out of Henzo Gracie, and I went to
Batres or Batres, or how do you say it? I
yeah
forget.
Baches. Yeah, I went to go see him, and I was like, man, this is crazy. Like I didn't know they put on shows like this,
Yeah.
and they're everywhere. I didn't even know about them, and I was like, she kind of got me into going to the shows and actually going over there and go seeing stuff. So I was like, I need to go out more.
I
I
think
need,
it can fire up an athlete too. And
yeah,
like, I should be in there.
yeah,
Like that should be me with the likes, because I think people are born for it. Like
yeah,
nobody's like, hey, go punch me in the face and let me punch you back. That's not
yeah.
normal. Most people aren't, born with that in there. There has to be something else.
Yeah, no, like when I went to the Red Out the last time to go watch it, that's why it's kind of surreal to me right now that I'm fighting there because I went there to go watch Giovanni. And when I saw him and I met Shakur and I met Sugar Shane Mosley, I was like, man, I was like, that's crazy. And then when they told me we were fighting in College Station, I was like, oh, it's like, I'll go out there and fight, whatever. I'll take it. And then they were like, hey, it got moved to the Red Owl. And I was like, no way. I was like, I was like, I just watched the fight there. I was like, that's crazy. So it's kind of like a surreal experience, me actually being able to fight there.
Yeah. Last year we Clear Life, we did some work with Team Combat League. Did you
Hmm.
see any of that?
I
It was
seen,
like
yeah,
Houston versus San Antonio
yeah,
versus Orlando, and Giovanni's dad Raul was on commentary, and so I got to do some commentary for some of those, which is actually kind of exciting.
yeah,
He's just a professional,
yeah,
with everything, and I'm just happy to be here.
yeah.
You know,
Nah, yeah, shaking hands and going to go meet people like I know it like some of these local shows you think there won't be nobody big there, but sometimes people just pop up, you
oh
know?
yeah,
I've been me and my brothers were all real into like Jay Prince because we know he
Mhm.
was with OVO and all them. So we got to meet him too. My brother was freaking out because he's been like a big fan of him since he was little. So Like we saw them over there, and we're like, man, that's crazy. Like we need to start going to more shows
Yeah.
and meeting people.
Can you remind everybody what's going on Saturday, and give them that invitation? Why should they come watch you?
So it's March 8th, this Saturday here in Houston, Texas, at the Red Owl Arena. I'm gonna be making my pro debut. We're gonna go put on a show, put on it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna put on a good show for everybody.
Manny, thanks so much for making time. Is there anything else you'd like to share today?
Yeah, no, I'd like to thank my team and my sponsors, everybody that helped me get ready for this fight, cause I have a lot of sponsors that help me get ready for everything, and they really like it really like it set everything for me to make this pro debut and actually make everything possible, and yeah.
Awesome. This is Guardy with Clear Life Media, Clear Life Combat. Saturday, we'll see you at Red Owl Boxing here in Houston, Texas. Y'all be blessed.